So here's our 2005 Rumblebee. It's starting to look like a truck. The box isn't bolted down, but anything else you see is pretty much together. So some of the little things that people will tend to overlook. So we put on like what they call a southern box, so a rust-free box that had a few dings and dents. We did have to come right up here in the arch under both sides. Starting to rust on the inside, you get little waves, so we cut those out and welded new steel on both sides. You know, just you could have got away with knocking them up and painting it, but let's just fix it right was the idea there. You know, anything to keep, well, at the end of the day, just get the rot out. So some things I'm not sure in here. Should there be a rubber in here? Now you have to keep in mind when you're restoring something that was a basket case. Now this is a vehicle that 99% of the people out there would never do any kind of bodywork, let alone halfway restoration, right? You know, you could have mudded it up with some filler and painted it, and you would have got a year out of it. And that had been done a couple times by my dad, who's definitely no body man. So there's a lot of Bondo cheese. I call it cheese, you know, when they put all the Bondo in with a bunch of paint on it and trim clad, and the yellow goes to yellow, and there's 2-3 yellows on the truck. And finally the rockers were gone, the doors were toast, cab corners, and the box sides were just cooked, and the box started to disintegrate. And so did the tailgate. It had been bonded up a bunch of times. So every panel on the truck has basically been replaced. Not sure if there was rubbers on this truck in here, because anything like that was so rotten. This truck, things were long gone. So another thing is there's little plastics that go in here, one that goes on there, like you put them in the tailgate, and it just kind of makes everything go smooth. Those hadn't been on this particular truck with the way Dad had been driving it ever. You know, they were probably just adjusted way up high, and it was metal on metal. The original stuff, in fact, was almost wore through. It had been like that for so long. So what I got to do now, we're going to hit the local junkyard, get a couple of these. There's one up there as well, just to keep the crap out of the box. We didn't paint inside the box. We're going to do a liner, but I do want to get those. When we put our tailgate on, we'll have to use this. You know, it's kind of a, here we go. Probably can't see it in the sun. This basically, this piece here replaces this, and it just and then this has a spot where it'll go right into the tailgate, and it just makes it go up and down a little slower and lightens the tailgate, which is, I guess, nice. The new trucks, they pretty much all do it with a spring through, but some of these trucks just didn't have anything, so that was a way to fix that. Now I do have this rubber. Here's the profile. I was thinking that this might have been, and I only have one, this might have went in here, but I'm thinking it does not, because where the hole is, this would sit back here and would be nowhere near the cab. So the only thing that could have been on here might have slid onto here on this edge and just came up to the cab, but usually I don't have them that far out. Now, the only hole where you can put a plastic pin like that is way up high. There is none anywhere else. So this truck may not have had that, but just to make sure, before we bolt the box onto the truck, I'm gonna go hit the local junkyard and have a look at a couple and see if there's rubber. Now I know, like, there might not have been an 05, but I can't even go by that because this box is off of a, what was it, a 2008, 7 or 8. So a few little things might have been different, but when I look down in there, I'm not seeing any provisions to where any kind of rubber would have went. Yeah, you probably can't see in there, but so anyway, we're not going to worry about that too much, but we will go have a look for that because we need those plastic clips. These we could probably order new, the plastics, but if he's got a couple at the junkyard, I'll get them. I still had these. These were all red, you know, kind of like the box up there, so we just kind of cleaned them up, sprayed them with basically semi-gloss black. just to clean them up, make them look half decent. You know, we're not going full retard restoration on this. We're just kind of going half decent, you know. The paint's really nice and smooth on it, so, you know, you can take this to car shows on weekends and stuff, no problem. We are going to do the rumblebee stripes on it because this is an actual rumblebee, which is kind of cool, I guess. There's people that are starting to collect these now, which it is what it is. That's not what we're doing. We're just fixing it up. So this one is what, 4112 of 5,000 or whatever they made. You know, so it has all that stuff. And this one looks okay. The one over there, you can see how it's all delaminated and nasty looking. So we might actually pull those off and paint them. You know, clean these up. But we're not going to touch the piece around the radio because apparently people buy those and stick them in non-rumblebee trucks. I find that ridiculous, but hey, you never know. Might also look for another handle. The yellow you see is trim clad from, you know, all the years of bad body work. So it'd be nice to get a nice clean one, because that trim clad, when it's been on there, as I learned with some of the other pieces, it does not come off. If it's been there a long time, it's almost like the paint comes off, but it stains it. But I mean, maybe we'll just use some adhesion promoter and repaint them flat black or satin black. That might be the other option. Was something else I needed. Right, so where the tail lights go on, there's some kind of little plastic things that lock in here so the pins can sit in, and then screws go here and here from the inside. So I'm gonna have to find those clips. And I don't know, again, if 2008 was the same as 2005, because they actually had a different tail light. Like, instead of just a round flatted tail light, they had like two big, you know, cylinder looking things sticking out of them. And we don't want to put those in. One way or another, we're putting in the right tail lights, because we got the little grills that go over them for the back. So the whole thing will be pretty much the way it should be. The ground effects aren't on yet. We're not going to worry too much about that. And I know someone will comment, but realistically, yeah, we could have painted inside the box, but if we put a liner in it, we're just going to paint over it, and it's in good shape. Now let me show you where these box, once you get nearer than 2005, I think it's 6, 7, and 8, instead of having down here the T's with the screws, they have a plate behind this, and this comes off the side of the plate. The plate's kind of here, but there's 3 layers of metal, and they kind of rot. And that was the only rot in the box. I can't quite see my phone because of the light out here, but you can see what we did. So basically, let me get this one instead. I drilled holes through the plate where we plug welded it, but I did come around and put some welds down around the edges. And then we welded the plate itself right to the lock. So whatever's back there seemed solid enough, but we cut all the bad stuff out. You know, and basically the reason we plug welded some is they go through into that other plate. You know, so all 4 corners are like that. And we were going to just spray, like, when we line it, it might all end up black anyway, but just in case we did a plastic liner, they have like a little hole here, so you want to at least see yellow through the hole. That's the only reason why. You can see all 4 of those. And I mean, not all 4 were rotten, but we just went ahead and sandblasted the hell out of what was rotten. We burnt them with acid to basically neutralize it, and then we neutralized the acid, and then basically welded these plates on. And this will never be moving refrigerators or nothing, right? We just did it so that it, you know, like I say, get all the rot out. That's the main thing, right? So what I can tell you about the body of this truck is there is no rot left in the body. There's a little bit of rust on some of the supports that go up and down underneath. But realistically, you know, it's pretty good. We have a little sag in the paint. I don't know if you can catch that on camera. You come right here. See it? Nothing too major. No one will notice that, but we can always, you know, wet sand that with some 2000 and buff it off. Realistically, I kind of forgot about it and just noticed it again now, so we probably won't do anything to that. We'll probably leave that alone. Not too many people would see it. We might replace those plastics because we can get those for super cheap at the junkyard, just so they don't have that yellow. That wasn't from our paint job. We painted all the panels separate. That was from all the years of fixing it up and trim clad. And, you know, the fender bottoms of the original fenders were basically just, you know, Bondo. There's a couple little clips that go into the fender that these lock into. These are here, but they're sloppy. So when I'm at the junkyard, we'll try to find those where they're not sloppy. There's the rubbers that go up in here. Hang on. See the black rail. Cherokees are like that, and a lot of the Dodge Rams. There's a rubber that basically locks onto this ridge and it just sits over, and it helps keep air coming in from the door even though you got the rubber inside. I have one, but I know there's a few different thicknesses of these. This is what I got. I'm not sure if it's the right one, but when I put it, how do I explain that? When I put the rubber on, and you look right in here, you can see how it comes real close. So that kind of sucked. Either way, they might have been off of a different vehicle and just ended up in here. I only have one, so I'll grab 2 of those at the wrecker, the correct one. I'm pretty sure what I took off of this wasn't that heavy. I think that one is off of the Cherokee, and they might have made them fatter. Where these ones, I think, were, if I'm not mistaken, they were thin, and they just added like a rubber that went all up this edge. But anyway, so there's a small list of stuff we got to go and find out about. The wiring here, that came with the box. It's just cut off down low. We actually have all the wiring dangling off the frame, so we're gonna have to run that up in there. And you know, we never disturb that, and all the lights work. They're just all dangling. So we should be okay with that stuff. But yeah, I mean, it'll be a nice looking, clean truck. You know, something a guy can drive around and enjoy for a lot of years. Anyway, that's enough of this one. Cheers.